Welcome to the March 4th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting. I will now call this meeting to order and lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. Zoom webinar participation is available for members of the public. The Zoom webinar ID and link are available on the posted agenda of the city website. Can we have a roll call?
Commissioner Rocamora,
Here.
Commissioner Rock,
Here.
Commissioner Mora,
Here.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Here.
Commissioner Meeks,
Present.
Commissioner Perno,
Here.
Chairperson McKeely Day.
Present. And now can we have staff introductions?
Risa Salcedo, Administrative Aide.
Courtney Grossman, Planning Manager.
Orlando Reyes, Assistant Director, Community Development Department.
Good afternoon, Grant Leonard, Planning Manager.
Vincent Montgomery, Planning Manager.
All right, welcome everyone. We'll move on to general public comments. Public comments generally are limited to 2 minutes per speaker. The chair may further limit the time for public comments depending on the agenda schedule. Are there any comments from the public regarding items not on today's agenda? Hello, welcome.
Thank you. I'd like to make a comment. I guess at the last city council meeting, the city agreed to buy 7 lots over in Chinatown. And it sounds like the city plans on doing the construction management of it. If things would have rolled like they were supposed to 30 years ago, we'd have plenty of housing. I'm starting to see a switch, and now people are starting to listen to me, that certain council members definitely want a socialist society here in Salinas. I even invited one, but he didn't show up. Also invited 3 other builders, and they didn't show up. So I guess I'm the only one right now that I can get here, just me. So I don't get all the bureaucracy. We need housing. Marina is just talking about building more housing. There's housing going to go to South Valley. I know there's a lot of different they groups, and it's amazing. Everybody has their own agendas, why they're going. The only person who I think really knows is Courtney, since he stated he's been here 30 years. I don't know if you remember Nob Hill first went in over on Baranda in Natividad. They left because they realized no more construction was going to happen. That's the only reason they went in that location. So we're bringing it on ourselves. You know, I said it last time, build, baby, build. I don't understand. And I'm just a flea. I'm a fun-loving electrician, okay? So I just want to figure out why. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Are there any on Zoom?
No comments on Zoom.
All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and close public comments. Moving on to consent ID number 26-073, approval of minutes from February 18th, 2026 meeting. Are there any questions or comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Rocamora?
No questions or comments.
Commissioner Ruck?
I listened to the tapes, so I'm going to go ahead and vote on it. Thank you.
Commissioner Mora?
No, none on my end.
Commissioner Gutierrez?
Questions and comments.
Commissioner Meeks?
No questions nor comments.
And Commissioner Purnell?
Questions or comments?
And I have no questions or comments. Do we have a motion and a second?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
All right, with a motion from Commissioner Mora and a second from Commissioner Meeks, we will have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Rocamora,
Yes.
Commissioner Rock,
Yes.
Commissioner Mora,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Meeks,
Having covered all the materials and read everything I could from the last meeting, I vote yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Chairperson McKeely Day.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And, just real quick, I wanted to make a comment on the minutes. Just want to say thank you to the staff for the public comment that was made last week, and it was handled at a staff level. So thank you. And then considerations, ID number 26-066, 2025 General Plan Annual Progress Report with Vision Salinas 2040 update. Jonathan Moore, Senior Planner, will present this item.
Okay, hello again, everyone. Great to see you. Great to see a full house here tonight. So I'm here to talk about two separate related things. One, the annual progress report for the general plan excluding housing, which my colleagues will get to right after me. And again, another update on where we are in the general plan update. Was that me or you? Okay. Well, okay. All right. So that's what I talk about. So I want to highlight some of the accomplishments of the city this year, and then talk a little bit more about where we are with the general plan update again, and where we're going in the near future. Right. So it was a busy year development-wise for the city again. This is an excerpt from the Permit Center annual report, which may be an upcoming session for you all as well. But current planning, Courtney's folks saw over 1,500 customers at the front counter. Development engineering saw over 1,000.
Mr. Moore?
Yes, sir.
If I may, because of my condition, could you speak up just a little bit?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
My apologies. I was just kind of that current planning and our development engineering folks in the Permit Center have been extra busy over the last year, but we still managed to increase our on-time building plan reviews by 23%, and they increased the amount of construction permits filed by 19%. Some of the recent projects completed include restaurants like Raising Cane's, Planet Fitness, gym, obviously, South Main. Other things in the works include, as mentioned, the Chinatown redevelopment. Public Works also put in some different safety enhancements, including pedestrian beacon at Main Street and Lamar. And this presentation, it just is super high level and kind of keeping in fact the 2002 general plan itself, a lot of it is very high level. It's kind of based around doing good basic things, and if you have good projects, there's always like a way to tie it back to the general plan, but it wasn't the biggest on specific actions or projects itself. So that is a change in the upcoming general plan where we are doing a little bit of both. So we have a lot of the same things, and there's been a lot of carry forward from the 2002 plan, but we're trying to get some more identifiable things so that are more, it's a little easier to measure some of the progress. Of course, one of the areas of the general plan, like our open space element, is doing parks and other kind of projects related to our public facilities. We've had new playgrounds installed. We had the Ensign Community Park that just opened in 2025, and they're still working on the natural preservation area around that project. Our Steinbeck Library downtown got new flooring, and we recently opened the Hebron Family Center, which is great to see, as it was not only something that aligns with the general plan, but it was also a priority in the LSL Vibrancy Plan and the Parks, Rec, and Libraries Master Plan. So that in particular is a good example of how when multiple planning efforts can align and really help generate a good project. If we're shifting to our general plan update, we released our public review draft back in December. Last year we had a few study sessions. We had one early last January with the City Council on the economic development element. We had, of course, our joint City Council Planning Commission then in June. And we went to you in the fall, and of course we went earlier this year as well. Last year, through the city manager, we really started working with the economic development shareholder folks who are involved in the 2017 economic development element and working with them on how to update that for this new general plan. And those conversations are ongoing, and we've made some good progress. They're still working on a draft of that, so it's not in the version that was released in December, but we're making good headway. And we'll soon be releasing a public review draft of the climate action plan. And once the economic development element is ready, we've gone through additional engagement, which we'll talk about. We'll release all those things with the environmental impact report, and that's when it really rubber starts to hit the road as far as the approval process. So right now, we are still in the first quarter. We have, and you should hopefully have received several emails about this and social media posts. At the flight on the next page, we have our workshop coming up, our open house on Saturday morning, 9 to noon at 1 Main Street downtown. It'll be a combination of an open house. We'll have informational posters on some of the parts of the general plan we've released. We'll have a series of panels on land use and circulation, environmental justice and climate action, economic development, and we'll finish the morning with a youth panel. So it's going to be pretty busy and fast moving, but I think it's got some great speakers and great content in there, and we hope we can see you and your friends there. That reminder emails were sent out to the commissions, to our lists, and we've been working with people's networks to try to get attendance. So hopefully we get a good attendance, because I think we got some really good folks, and it'd be a good event. Once we're on the other side of that event and we can breathe, we'll keep working on the economic development element, revising this general plan according to the comments we get, releasing the draft cap so that by summer we can release everything together to start the formal 45-day comment period. So that's the comment period required by state law for EIRs, and comments during that period we are obligated to respond to. So depending on what kind of comments we get and how long the response takes, that kind of determines when we'll actually get to start the approval process. But we're hoping by fall we will begin that. And if it's not adopted this year, it'll be very close to being adopted this year. But we're really pushing to get that done this year. As I mentioned, we have a flyer for Saturday. We've seen this through your email. Like I mentioned, the big details, there'll be a raffle too for some goodie bags. We have a limited number of parking validation for the garage next door. So if you will get there, that's a added bonus. And I know it's confusing, that split topic, but we have a resolution with this item to approve or to recommend the City Council accept the annual progress report and authorize its submittal to State Department of Housing and Community Development and the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation. Those are the responsible agencies for this document. With that, I will open it up to questions.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions from the commissioners to Mr. Moore or members of city staff regarding this consideration item? Commissioner Rockamora?
No questions.
Commissioner Ruck?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Mora?
Yeah, you mentioned that the economic development element conversations are still ongoing. Who are the stakeholders that are being engaged as part of those conversations?
Sure. And to be clear, with engagement, we're still engaging broadly too. So nothing is closed yet. But those specifically, the shareholder refers to the group of people, SPARK, Salinas Planning and Research Committee, I believe, who were involved in the kind of generating of the 2017 EDE. So they were around back then and they kind of started to push things forward. So So that's kind of that share group on that side.
Any other questions?
If it were like more of a comment, I guess at that point, I'll make like a shameless pitch for SIDE, the Salinas Inclusive Economic Development Initiative, which is I'm now blanking on the exact figures, so I'll say a multi-million-dollar investment from the James Irvine Foundation here in Salinas. It's been engaging 12 of our local Salinas nonprofits on the concept of more inclusive economic development principles. So it would be really wonderful to tap into some of the ongoing work that they've been funding here in Salinas. And I believe they'll be meeting next week. So it's like a great opportunity to engage that group as well.
Thank you. Great. Yeah, once we have a draft, I think we'll be looking for other avenues to do more engagement on that.
All right, thank you. Any questions, Commissioner Gutierrez?
I have no questions.
Any questions, Commissioner Meeks?
No questions nor comments. Thank you.
Any questions, Commissioner Purnell?
I have a quick question, Jonathan. In terms of the outreach for this general plan open house that's happening on Saturday, was there like an expansive campaign? Because it's such a big and important meeting, I think, for the community to be involved in, and I don't know that it's as prevalent as I've seen city meetings in the past. So there was a team like tasked with marketing this to get out to the community.
Whether it's expensive enough, it could always be more. And this, I will say, has been probably the most complicated event I've worked to put together. So, yeah, I hope we can get people there. And please, again, share with your networks. We can. We've been trying to get the word out too, but balancing with actually making sure we can pull off the event.
And is there a number or like an attendance metric that the city would be happy with in terms of saying we've really engaged our community in this general plan process, or is it sort of like we've checked a box and held this meeting, so we've done our engagement?
No, there's no set number. The bigger, the better. And obviously, if you have low attendance, you know you have low attendance. And if you do that, I don't think it's a thing where we'll say, okay, we checked the box, good, we're done. I think we'll just continue to look for another option to do that again. Especially having now done it and had material, it may be easier to keep going with that engagement.
Thank you.
All right, I have a question. Well, one of mine does piggyback on Commissioner Purnell's question, and it was regarding the communication. Are you finding that, because I know that some of these avenues are newer to be able to blast these out, and I'm seeing more and more of that being used. Is there any feedback as to, like, for example, if they're signing up for the email blast, that's most effective, or do you have any of those kind of numbers? Is it people seeing it on social media? Like, is any of that coming back? So, for example, if a resident is saying, I want to get tapped in, what's the best way? What would be the go-to? Saying, oh, check our Facebook page all the time, or sign up for the email? Like, what would be your suggestion?
Yeah, I would do both of those, because there have been both social media posts and e-blasts that go out with this. So I know that with the email blast for this event, it's sent out to thousands of people who have signed up for it. It does show us the number of how many people are on those lists. And I don't know how many followers the social media accounts have. Hopefully, if it's doing well, thousands on there as well. So staying plugged into those, like, those are definitely the easiest go-to. Like, it's going to be broadcast through these things. To Purnell's point, I don't know if those are always the most effective ways. I think the most effective means we've always had has been when we can directly plug into someone's network and have them reach us. So I think for the economic development element, for the LSI Vibrancy Plan, one of the reasons those things were so successful is we were working closely with our community-based organizations. And to some extent, we have not had those relationships, and we're trying to rebuild them for this planning effort. But that's been the most effective way to get people out, is to work with people who are organizing and getting the word out professionally. So when someone says, well, we had a great job with this thing, usually one of those organizations has helped driving people to these meetings.
Yeah, because I noticed recently we had some talk about a sign going up in Alisal, and there were so many comments from the public about, well, what about our streets? What about this? But I thought to myself, well, it's presented to us, so we're aware of it as Planning Commission. We're aware of the Alisal Vibrancy Plan and what's going into that, but I feel like there's a disconnect. Because a lot of the community didn't have that in their mind, and then seeing that as just an enhancement to what was already happening. You know, so I was just curious what, you know, are we measuring now, you know, the results of the communications that we're choosing, you know, of how to put things forward. I remember before it was just like only the newspaper and we're putting in the Herald, you know, so who's reading that? I mean, it's not hitting the majority of our community. So anyway, that was partly feedback too, but I had a question. If you could go back to the slide that shows the timeline. So I guess I was trying to figure out, so we have general plan update. I don't know if maybe it's in the housing element, but where do we get plugged in all this? Like, is there, because I mean, we do have public saying like, planning commission, you know, are you doing your job? And, you know, and I kind of feel like the EDE and working with shareholders, a lot going on, and we seem to just kind of be being reported to. Like, where do we plug in?
One, through these kind of study sessions that are kind of pre-approval process. So whether it was this fall or the one in January, more specifically in the draft plan. And additionally ones, I think before we even bring things for adoption, we'd want to do another study session once we've formally released the whole package, the EIR, the CAP. And then of course you are part of the formal approval process. It must be considered by Planning Commission along with other bodies before it goes to City Council for the final determination.
But yes, that final one, though, is a lot of times we need this now because it has to go to commission before a deadline. So it's not like a input session.
That's why we're trying to do these study sessions in advance of that, so that we're working through this stuff before we get to the point where you actually have to make a decision and pull the trigger on that. As we explicitly said we don't want to get to that point and have people feel rushed or they haven't had a chance to consider this item.
All right, thank you. So now we'll open for public comment.
Madam Chair, I believe that you talked about the Alisal Arch.
Yes.
That was approved or proposed by the Monterey County Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Alejo.
I understand. I'm saying that the public perspective was as if we're putting that ahead of the improvements to streets and sidewalks and everything else. Right.
Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify that, an arch specifically was not in the Alisal Vibrancy Plan. The Vibrancy Plan talks about public art and the importance of gateways and stuff, but it did not specifically recommend an arch for that street.
Right. Okay, public comments. Are there any comments from the public regarding this item? Welcome.
I'd keep my mouth shut. Good evening. I wanted to see something else. It's a pretty interesting plan, talking about outreach to community and whatnot, because it is very hard to find out. It's hard these days to reach out to our community and get in touch and engaged with all these different plans. And thought process to me, and maybe I'll suggest that the city council is each council member of their district, I believe should have like a community meeting once a month, just in general. So everyone in the district knows that once a month at this place, you can see your council member and your representation, because this is very important stuff right here. You're working on real important stuff. I really commend every single person up here because you're doing the thankless work that nobody's paying attention to. So thank you very much. But you know, I'm gonna hit something like that. Maybe we need to really push our council to get their representatives connected. Have a barbecue once a month in our district, and we're going to get in here, we're going to talk, and we're going to love one another, but we're going to talk about these important things too. Anyways, thank you so much for letting me talk.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Any comments on Zoom?
No comments on Zoom.
All right, we'll close the public comment on this item. Are there any additional questions or comments from the commissioners to Mr. Moore or members of city staff? Commissioner Rocamora?
No questions or comments.
Commissioner Ruck,
I do hope Saturday is well attended. Thank you.
Commissioner Mora,
No.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Questions?
Commissioner Meeks,
No questions nor comments.
Commissioner Purnell,
No questions or comments.
and I have no additional questions or comments. Would any commissioners like to make a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve ID number 26-066, the 2025 General Plan Annual Progress Report and Vision Salinas 2040 Update.
I'll second that motion.
That's Commissioner Gutierrez, is that who it is?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, okay. With a motion from Commissioner Meeks and a second from Commissioner Gutierrez, we will have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Rocamora,
Yes.
Commissioner Rock,
Yes.
Commissioner Mora,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Meeks,
Yes.
Commissioner Purnell,
Yes.
Chairperson McKelvey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, so for the 2025 General Plan Annual Progress Report and Vision Salinas 2040 Update, the Planning Commission approves a resolution recommending that City Council accept the 2025 General Plan Annual Progress Report and authorize its submittal to the State of California Department of Housing and Community Development and the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation. The Planning Commission's action on this item is a recommendation to the City Council in support of 2025 General Plan Annual Progress Report and Vision Salinas 2040 Update. Staff will schedule the matter for the City Council's consideration, at which time a final decision will be made. And now for consideration, ID number 26-070, 2025 Housing Element Annual Progress Report. Vincent Montgomery, Planning Manager, will present this item.
Good afternoon, Planning Commission. I'm Vincent Montgomery, Planning Manager for the Housing Division at the Salinas Community Development Department. This afternoon, not sure what happened. Oh, yeah. So this afternoon, I will be presenting the 2025 Housing Element Annual Progress Report for the City of Salinas. This report fulfills the statutory obligation under Government Code 65400, which requires jurisdictions to report annually on the housing element implementation and progress toward the regional housing needs allocation. And before I go to the next slide, I just want to state that the annual progress report is the result of a coordinated effort citywide involving multiple departments that each play a critical role in housing production and housing element implementation. The Housing Division worked closely with the Permit Center, Planning and Building Divisions, Engineering, Fire Protection, Code Enforcement, and the Salinas Outreach and Response Team to compile accurate data on applications, entitlements, building permits, certificates of occupancy, affordable housing funding, and homeless response. This cross-department collaboration ensures that the APR reflects the full scope of the city's work to support housing development, preserve neighborhood quality, and advance the city's goal of the 2023 through 2031 housing element. And this slide just really talks about the progress. The annual progress report highlights the city's key accomplishments in 2025, including a continued housing production, progress on affordable and supportive housing projects, expanded code enforcement activity, and strengthened homelessness response through SORT, or our outreach team. And these achievements reflect the city's ongoing commitment to implementing the housing element and supporting housing opportunities across all income levels. And this APR is due to the California Department of Housing and Community Development and the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation by April 1st, ensuring that the city remains in compliance with state reporting requirements. This slide corresponds directly to Table B in the draft housing element, which summarizes cumulative building permits issued by affordability level. HCD identifies building permits as the key benchmark for our HNA, the RHNA progress. The six-cycle RHNA is 6,674 units, as you can see, including the 1,520 low-income units. And as of 2025, the city has permitted 443 above moderate units, mostly in 2024 and 2025, as you can see. No lower income units have been reported or yet, permitted rather, so remaining need remains unchanged for those categories, obviously. HCD uses this table to determine whether the city is subject to SB 423 streamlining and to evaluate whether the city is meeting its lower income HNA obligations. And so this slide summarizes the city's development pipeline using the same categories required in tables A and A2. And as you can see, 5 housing development applications were deemed complete in 2025. 214 permits were issued. 146 certificates of occupancy were issued as well. These figures align with the Permit Center's annual report update that was presented on 2/24/2026 to City Council. Okay. This slide highlights committed assistance, which HCD defines as legally enforceable agreements that support affordable housing within 2 years. The city has awarded $2.1 million in CDBG and $0.7 million in home funds in 2025. These awards support affordable housing production and will be reflected in Table 2, Fields 16 through 19, where jurisdictions must identify funding sources, affordability mechanisms. And this matters because HCD evaluates whether jurisdictions are assisting in the development of affordable housing, which is a statutory requirement under Government Code 65583. And these awards demonstrate progress toward that requirement and support the future RHNA credible units. The city continues to leverage 2 major funding sources, the Pro-Housing Incentive Program and the Permanent Local Housing Application, to accelerate affordable housing production and support the implementation of housing. Let me go back just a second. To talk a little bit about PIP and PLHA. PIP Round 4 reflects the city's progress in modernizing its development processes and portions to secure substantial funding for infrastructure, site readiness, and affordable housing. On the other hand, the permanent local housing allocation is a stable formula-based funding source that the city receives annually over a 5-year period. And those funds support pre-development, acquisition, rehabilitation, and construction of affordable housing, and they are already being deployed in projects such as 376 Alvin, 165 through 177 Carr, and 200 Casatini. And PLHA's predictability allows the city to build a multi-year pipeline of affordable units and partner with nonprofit developers on projects that directly contribute to our very low RHNA progress. So those numbers will, even though we didn't have numbers in there in 2025-26, you will start to see some coming online in 2027 and beyond. Because together, PIP and PLHA form the backbone, if you will, of the city's affordable housing financing strategy. They allow Salinas to move projects from concept to construction, strengthen our competitiveness in larger state programs like AHSC and MHP, and demonstrate to HCD that the city is actively implementing its housing element through both policy as well as investment. So this is the future growth area, and it should be noted that this slide provides a visual of where future development is proposed in our future growth area and highlights long-range planning that will accommodate future housing capacity. The planned development in the future growth area, WASP, which is the Western Area Specific Plan, CASP, the Central Area, and the Eastern Area specific plans, as you can see in the green, gold, and I guess that's kind of purple. These are the Salinas' first large-scale multi-year infusion of housing units that will materially shift the current RNA cycle beginning in 2026 and accelerating in 2027. And I think it's important to note that this was the preliminary plan, and these plans were prerequisites for development. But now that the first subdivision map is approved, the city is entering into the implementation stage. In the WASP, 3 tentative maps have been approved or deemed complete. Consistency are now in the consistency review phase. CAS, there's 1 tentative map, a site map building permit, and 1 in the completeness phase. And in the EASP, 1 closest to having an impact in our RENA numbers are were approved on August the 24th, estimating timing for grading will be May through June of 2026, and beginning fall of 2026, and projecting sales of homes in the spring of 2027. So as you can see, there are some progress. And I just want to reemphasize that the planning stage does take time, but now that phase is over, you will begin to see a accelerated development moving in this future growth area. And so beginning in 2026, the future growth area will shift from long-range planning to active construction. And we expect significant increase in entitled units, followed by substantial rise in building permits in 2027 as well. Because the RNA is tied to building permits, these phases, particularly the 1,600 units in the CAS, will materially increase our above moderate production and through inclusionary requirements. So this first point in the 6th cycle where Salinas will see multi-hundred annual units, and it will meaningfully change our trajectory in the RENA numbers moving forward. This slide represents 11 infill projects, many of which are 100% affordable, and 1 which is a permanent supporter of housing development. HCD requires jurisdictions to identify whether units are infill, and so those will be represented in Table A2, Field 15 of the draft housing element. And these are projects will appear as they move through the entitlement and permitting and occupancy stages. Projects with affordability restrictions will require documentation of funding sources and deed restrictions. Again, the city's infill housing pipeline continues to be one of the strongest contributors to long-term RENA progress, particularly for low-income categories. 3 of these projects, Chispas, the senior housing development, Eden Housing toward the bottom there, I believe. Toward number 2 is the Eden Housing, 100% affordable community, and Hackham's permanent supportive housing development right there at number 10, demonstrate how the city is leveraging underutilized parcels within the urban core to deliver high-impact, service-connected, affordable housing. So again, I will stress that these infill projects also advance multiple housing element programs by reusing previously developed sites, increasing density in walkable areas, and aligning with HCD's definition of infill development. These infill projects complement the long-term build-out of the future growth area by providing near-term, high-impact, affordable housing that strengthens the city's compliance posture with HCD. And this slide demonstrates the 100% affordable permanent housing. HCD requires jurisdiction to identify units that are infill, and that's in Table A2, Field 15. This slide previews the city's data transparency efforts. The Housing Dashboard tool, while not required in the APR, shows program implementation, reporting, particularly programs related to monitoring and transparency and public engagement. So the Housing Dashboard is a core transparency tool that allows the public decision makers and HCD to see in real time how Salinas is progressing on housing production, affordability, and program implementation. And here we have a summary of code enforcement activities. Cases opened in code enforcement were 1,721 cases opened and 1,557 closed. And while code enforcement is not directly counted towards the RENA, it supports housing elements programs related to preservation, rehabilitation, and neighborhood quality. On the outreach front, our outreach team, the Salinas Outreach and Response Team, assisted 323 individuals, 53 shelter referrals, and 78 were housed, and a total of 4,088 services were rendered. SORT activities support the housing element programs related to homelessness, special needs housing, and affirmatively furthering housing, fair housing, all of which must be reported in the housing element under Table D. Our next steps are Housing and Land Use Committee consideration scheduled for March the 17th. Actually, that is going to change. It has changed, actually. It's going to be March the 10th for the Housing and Land Use Committee. And the City Council consideration scheduled for March 24th. That may change also because we just got word that there may be some changes to the City Council dates moving to the 17th. So that may change as well. We didn't get a chance to update this. And then lastly, to submit the 2025 Housing Element Annual Progress Report to HCD and LCI on or before April the 1st, 2026. So, in my closing, it's recommended that the Planning Commission approve a resolution recommending that the City Council accept the 2025 Housing Element Annual Progress Report and authorize its submittal to the California Department of Housing and Community Development and the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation as required by our Government Code 65400B. And I'll open it now for questions.
All right, thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions from the commissioners to Mr. Montgomery or members of city staff regarding the consideration item? Commissioner Rocamora?
Yes, you said the permits, there's some permits that already gone through and they're going to be rating. How many houses are with those permits in what area?
So we can go back to that slide. Here in the WASP, And let me see in my notes if I have the exact numbers. I don't know that I have the exact numbers of permits, but the total number of permits issued was 443, I believe I said. And so these are the different units that will be ultimately approved. Some are in the entitlement stage, and some of them have already been approved as well.
And you said it was in the WASP area?
No, I believe it's the Eastern Area Specific Plan that has been approved. I don't believe there's any in the WASP. If someone knows, they can chime in.
In terms of actual approvals, and we're not at the final map stage, the only one in terms of tentative map approval is the CASP, and I think it's what is known as Baranda Phase 1.
Yeah.
This is not the apartment project. It's not the 12 model homes. It's actually the tentative map of 415 dwelling units. All the other projects are in various stages of tentative map review at this point.
And one more question. I've always had that question of these single-family homes, and I know they talked about it. Are they getting rid of the garages and they're making the streets smaller, where they're not?
So I believe you're referring to the ADA, the ADU conversions?
No, I'm talking about the new housing.
Oh, the new
developments.
houses?
Yes.
No, I don't believe they are. Courtney, are you aware of them getting rid of the garages?
Well, the entire future growth area is somewhat different from old style development. And I shouldn't say the word old, but the 1990s style of development, it's completely different now. The FGA area is about walkable communities, smart building, green building, things of that nature. And yes, the streets are smaller, the lots are smaller. And from what we're seeing with the developers in terms of waivers and requests for relief from development standards, the standards will probably be not entirely met as articulated in the specific plans, but actually even smaller dimensions coming forward to the Planning Commission. This will be an interesting process. A lot of these maps are being processed through what is called SB 330. Waivers are probably going to be quite popular coming forward.
And who makes the final decisions?
City Council.
City Council on the designs?
Well, yes, but the maps will be coming to Planning Commission as a recommendation to Council.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we're talking maps, so we're talking dimensions of lots, streets, dimensions, access, circulation. A lot of these matters are being presented as constraints to achieving density, which is exactly what the state law and the Housing Crisis Act of 2019 is focused upon in terms of the waiver process.
Okay, so still we'll go through planning and
Council ultimately,
to
yes.
approve it?
Yes, all of these maps, except for the one that's already gone through, which was the 415 dwelling units.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, let me mistakenly, sorry. The 12 model homes will not come to Planning Commission. The apartment buildings will not come to Planning Commission. These are not subdivisions. Those are parts of East Baranda Phase 1. One of them is just an apartment complex. It's an administrative site plan review. 12 model homes are just building permits.
You say phase 1, which one's the phase 1?
The three in the bottom, the last three, East Baranda Phase 1. It's mentioned 3 times. Those are actually components of the larger, which is the first East Baranda Phase 1.
On the CASP, okay.
Yeah, correct.
Any questions, Commissioner Ruck?
Yes, Mr. Montgomery, will you go to the beginning? Thank you. I have several questions. I know this is a report that's going to the state, but there's blanks in my head, and I sort of need to understand. Next slide, please. Yeah,
this-
okay, but that
this
one
one
that
here.
keeps getting away.
Okay.
Okay, so you're telling me that we have these goals, and I understand the goals, and you're telling me they won't be fulfilled until 2027 on the low, very low, and the moderate? Is that what I'm hearing?
And I forgot to mention that there will be some in 2026 because of the grand opening of the Hackham has a grand opening actually tomorrow. And so they won't count for this year, but some will count. There's a 45-unit hotel that's opening that will count toward the low and very low. But then in 2027, that's when you'll see an escalation of additional affordable housing because we have already issued the $2.7 million to some developers that will be
Okay, so
building.
next year, we're going to see a trajectory.
Next, you'll see a trend.
Okay,
increase.
because these blanks just,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like,
And
no,
they've been there.
and it's not, your fault, it's not anybody's fault, it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, I know this is supposed to go to the state's supposed to approve this, but again, blanks in my head, I just have questions.
Sure.
Housing development applications, how many were made? How many were issued? It says how many issued, but how many were made? Building permits, 214 were issued. How many were made? Certificates of occupancy, forget that. But those two categories, like you can't, there's nothing here to evaluate unless you know what's been asked for.
In terms of the percentage.
Right, and
Yeah.
I mean, issued is 5, but what was asked for?
And that's a good question. It's noted. I don't have the answer
Okay.
to that, but we can find out and get back with you.
That would be good, because
Sure.
it's just kind of a blank in my head. What was asked for, issued, and units approved? How do you get units approved 50 when issued 5? So there's an inconsistency here in my mind, okay? It might not be inconsistent. It might just be my mind, okay? Next slide. Next one. Thank you.
This one?
Oh, okay.
I'm
No,
sorry.
no, go back to okay. So now I'm hearing that Baranda 1, the 3 Baranda 1s, the apartment buildings and the 12 model homes are part of the 415 units overall map. Is that correct?
I did not prepare this particular table. I'm not sure if they were broken out separately. What I was saying is that East Baranda Phase 1 is the tentative map. And for instance, the 12 model homes will be units constructed on that map once it becomes final and recorded. And the apartment project, which is 3 buildings, 50 units, will be built within a lot, a part of that 50, those 50 units on that map. But I don't know how these calcs were done, the 415
Okay.
versus the 50 versus.
And there's my next question. Between this slide and the slide earlier, we have 415 dwelling units. How many of those are low income, very low income, moderate, and above market? 415 units. What's the breakdown? I know this is just going to the state, but my brain says, what is the breakdown here? So I really am curious what the breakdown is of the 415 dwelling units. And you may not have it with you. Yeah, I understand. And then it would be nice to know, quite frankly, what the breakdown is of the other ones. But since this Baranda seems to be sort of getting traction, it would be nice to know what that breakdown is, because we're in dire need of housing, and we're in dire need of lower, moderate, and very low-income housing. And I know there's a real breakdown between, you know, how you build that, where's the money for that, and the ability to have all of that. So I'm just curious what that breakdown is and how it falls out. So thank you. And then the next one, if we could get some numbers on that as we go along in the next few
Sure.
weeks. And then the next slide, it just, how do you have a developer that's to be determined? I don't understand the developers to be determined.
Number 3 and
Am I reading that right? Number
4.
3, 4, 7, to be determined? No, infill housing projects? I mean, I know who Chispa is, I know who everybody else is, but who's TBD?
Good afternoon. My name is Monica Flores, Community Development Analyst with the Housing Division. If you see to be determined on the developer, this is more than likely that because they are city-owned properties at this time. So in the future, as we begin the development of housing, then a developer would be determined. But at this time, these sites are not under development. So in the future, we will have a developer identified.
Great, thank you so much for the clarification, I appreciate that. I just wondered how you do that. Okay, so that answered that question, and then was there another slide, or was this the end?
No, there's more.
Yeah, okay. The funding award I thought was great. It doesn't get a lot of housing, but frankly, it's toeing us towards the future, which is good. It is good. We desperately need housing. Okay, I don't have any questions on this one. Thank you. And thank you for the staff report. Very much appreciated.
Any questions, Commissioner Mora?
Yeah, just a couple of quick questions dash comments. With the regional housing needs allocation progress slide, I similarly had questions about the maybe lack of progress, right? So thank you so much for the explanation and the clarity on when some of those figures will be updated. I'm also, I know that several other communities are facing challenges in meeting their RHNA goals. So I'm wondering whether the city has considered, in the same way that you do comparable agencies for hiring or for pay, has the city also explored how the city is faring in relation to similar agencies? Because I know we like to think that we're very unique, right? It's like, oh, we're an ag community, or we're a mid-sized city. But the truth is, there are a lot of other cities throughout the state that are similar to us in terms of economic development, in terms of population, in terms of all of these things that make us who we are.
And you're correct. I don't have exact numbers, but we do know there are other regional and, probably statewide that are challenged with meeting these goals because they have been set by HCD to stretch us and make us move forward to try to accomplish those goals because it's been determined that there is a need, and those are the needs that they have told us that we need to build. So hopefully we will have some traction and get closer to meeting those goals by the end of this 6th cycle.
Thank you. And then on the neighborhood blight elimination slide, just for my own kind of curiosity, it seems like there's a lot of work happening in that arena. Were there any kind of patterns in the types of issues that were addressed, and how were they reported to the city? Is it like neighbors
Which
calling,
slide are you referring to again?
The neighborhood blight elimination slide?
Oh. That was this one. So this is our code enforcement division, obviously. And so they just document the number of cases that they have that come through. I don't really know how they, probably every case that comes through is somewhere reflected in the cases open. And do they open them all? I don't know if they do or not. But these are the ones that were open, 1,721. And so some of these that were closed are probably some of the same ones that were opened, but obviously not all. So I don't know what, if that answers your question.
I think it was more, my question was more about like how the city is hearing of these cases. Is it like proactively that the code enforcement officers are out there, or are those being reported to the city by like neighbors?
It's both. I mean, they're out there, but they also get reports that come in over a secure line.
And that's really it for me. Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions, Commissioner Gutierrez?
Yeah, I just have one question. On the future growth area, those three developments, is there like a, not a requirement, but is there, what's the average square footage on a single family home zoning? Do we have, are we gonna be building these big houses like we were back in, not big houses, but 2,000, 2,500 square feet homes that we're seeing in the 90s? Or are we gonna go with something that's more, because the reason why I'm saying this is because, like I said this before in the prior meeting was, if you look up areas of Salinas that were built like in the 80s where there's a lot of homes, 70s and 80s where a lot of homes were 1,200 square feet, 1,400 square feet, seems to be a lot more affordable than a house that's 2,500 square feet. And basically you could get what we're seeing right now, two families per home on a 2,500 square foot home. Why not, make it into smaller homes, a little more affordable rather than a big house? I have a house where I easily don't have any use for probably 1,000 square feet. That's basically dead space. Are these new developments going to be restricted as far as how big the house is going to be, or it's just a question?
So based upon what Courtney said, they don't appear to be extremely large, but I don't have the exact number in terms of how, or what even the average is. Do you know, Courtney?
Yeah, right now we only have those 12 models that recently came in, so we really don't know what the other maps are going to look like because they're still pending. The other maps haven't been approved yet, but looking at the data and seeing what we're seeing so far, it looks like, generally speaking, lots are getting smaller. In fact, they're likely going to be smaller than what the specific plans require in order to achieve higher densities.
Any questions, Commissioner Meeks?
Yeah, first a comment. Speaking of code enforcement, I saw them on the road today. They're out there. Secondly, Mr. Montgomery, the number 2 on your chart there, the multifamily units, is that just prior to Hilltop Terrace?
Oh, that's back here.
Right there. There you go. Number 2. As you're
no,
coming down
that's-
Laurel, is that just prior to Hilltop Terrace?
Do you have
This
the
Carter Lake
location?
area?
Yes, number 2, Eden Housing, that is the Carter Lake area. This is the area that is right next to what is currently as the Share Center. This
Pardon,
is
next to what?
the Share Center. It's the emergency shelter across,
You're coming down Laurel,
yes,
and just before you get to Hilltop Terrace, the stoplight, it's on this side of it.
it is on your left side, yes.
Okay. And how many units?
It is, if I am not mistaken, it's 2 different phases. I want to say it's 176 units. If I'm not, it's around that. I don't have the exact number on me right now.
We approved that years ago. And then that crunch and everything, so it's back. Thank you.
Any questions, Commissioner Purnell?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Montgomery, for the presentation. I had a few questions as well. I think, much like my fellow commissioners, that first slide about arena numbers was a concern. You had also mentioned the implications of SB 423 potentially having an impact on that. What is SB 423 and what would that change in this process?
So, remind me, Courtney, on that one?
I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, here you, okay.
We
Here.
deal with SB 330 quite often. 423?
Is it the ministerial one? Or
This
is
might
that-
be a replay of another one. I think it's a Housing Crisis Act 2019 to
Right.
expedite lock-in developer fees, things like that.
Because my understanding was if we couldn't meet our arena appropriations with the state, that this potential bill could help us fast track some of the development. Is that the purpose of it?
Yeah, a lot of these housing bills are designed exactly to do that, correct.
And we would only get to the point to fast track if we don't meet our quota? We have to get in trouble first to be able to get?
That's how the laws are set up, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on the infill slide, we had the 3 TBD properties. Is the city doing something to fast track that infill? Are we recruiting folks, or are we just kind of?
So it's up to what we receive when we put out, we recently put out an RFP for developers to propose. And so, you know, if we had more money, we could put out more RFPs, obviously. The RFP that we put out, we allocated every dollar of it. Some of them obviously proposed building and using infill sites, but others did not. So it just depends.
And for these projects, as Mr. Meeks had mentioned, there was a couple-year timeframe on one. What is the average duration, sort of from start to build, that one of these projects is looking at?
The duration? Mm-hmm. So it could take, in the short run, maybe 3 to 5 years, but a lot of them I've seen go even longer. It just really depends on a number of things. Their financing, their financial stack, if they're going for tax credits, you know, all that is time consuming.
And then on the slide that had some of the funding investments, the PLHA and the PIP, you had mentioned some addresses like 376 Alvin. What do these projects look like? And you had mentioned that nonprofits support collaborating with the city for those developments. Like, who are those people? Who are our partners?
Well, some of them are local developers. One of them is HACM, the Housing Authority of Monterey County. And so we're working with, you know, various different local nonprofits to, you know, produce these. And some of them have been in the pipeline for quite some time, too.
And then for the future growth area, like the total number of units was around 3,600. Do we know if we have interest from local buyers to purchase these homes, and are they going to be accessible?
I don't think we're there yet. Courtney, I think maybe we have one that's getting close, but we're not at the offer for purchase stage. And I think the one that would be closest I've heard was the Eastern Area Specific Plan Phase 1. Is that correct, Courtney?
The East Area Plan is being handled by advanced planning, and they still need to go through environmental review.
Yeah.
The leader of the pack right now is this, the one that we were looking at earlier, the 415, the CASP project.
That's Stonebridge development?
Correct, right. In that particular case, the tentative map has been approved several years, actually. They are still in the phase of recording the final map. That hasn't happened yet.
Thank you.
All right, I have a couple questions. I had a lot more, but my fellow commissioners have asked a lot of them already. And it really had to do with, when I'm looking at the slide and you're presenting, is I didn't really have a context as to, okay, I'm looking at this number, is that good? Are we, you know, is it bad? I mean, is it comparative to prior years? Are we improving, not improving? You know, so it was more that, like I didn't have a clear picture as to, you know, how alarming this should be looking right now. It seems alarming to me, but I feel like maybe just, you know, that presentation of more detail, and I don't know if we're saying that, you know, if we recommend this to go forward to council, that if they're gonna have the same questions, you know, so kind of taking that feedback, that I think a little more clarity, because just spurting out the numbers, like I said, each one kind of asks similar things of, well, well, then how many units does that consist of internally? You know, so having that information prepared. And then I had a specific question that didn't get asked. Well, I did want to mention code enforcement. I have seen them out more. I know we hired some, right? You have new additional code enforcement out there?
That's correct.
Yeah, so I have seen more presence. Can you go back to that slide, though? I did have a specific question. So I think you almost answered it, but cases opened, this is in 2025, but cases closed, what's the total opened?
Yeah, I don't have that number. It wouldn't be.
So we would have a third number that would say
That'd say-
previous carrying forward to 2025, right? This is 1,700 new open cases in 2025?
In 2025, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I think something like that, just clarifying some of this. So what am I, you know, how is it relatively? But yeah, I have seen, of course, a lot more tickets happening out there, which is nice sometimes, if I'm not the offender, no. And then I had a question on the homeless slide, if you could go to that one. So I was thinking here, so we have individuals, 323. Is this when they go around, we have the city group that goes out and canvasses? Okay.
Yes.
That's how you get these numbers?
Yes, absolutely.
And then, so individuals, 323, house 78. So what happens with the rest of them?
Well, I mean, we attempt to house, it has to do with engagement, number one, and everybody's not going to accept services, but we offer it to everyone. And so these 78 are the ones that sometimes after multiple engagement or contacts have decided, okay, I want to get off the street. And those are the ones that are housed. But we would like to do more because, and then sometimes it's a capacity issue because available housing, is just not there, so it is.
Well, that's what I was going to
both.
ask on the housed, is there additional that could have been accepted, or is there a cap, has it been capped as to what's available?
No, it has not been capped.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's both. It's the number of available units, and then, of course, as I mentioned, we offer it to everyone in terms of engaging with them, and sometimes multiple times before they decide, yes, I want to be housed.
Now, do you happen to have an idea on, when I'm looking at these numbers, like, are these families, or are these totally just random,
Some of them
one
are
person
families.
wandering by themselves?
Most of them, I would say, are individuals, but we have housed some families as well.
Okay, so
So they're
families
both.
would be included in this number?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
It seems low compared to what I'm aware of
know.
through the schools.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, so this would be more people that you're reaching out to that you're just finding on the street, maybe not living in their cars, like coordinating with the schools?
Yes,
No?
because
Okay.
they're homeless. And so these are not at risk of homeless, but these are the homeless individuals that were on the streets.
Okay, and then I have another question about the future growth area. When we're looking at the housing, I mean, I think we had that map that came, and we're getting more and more aware of what's happening and a little more momentum moving towards building. What I'm wondering is, because it seems like we've been behind, and then now we're trying to catch up, so we're just, we're trying to get the engines going. So when I look at this, there was years back, it might even be in the EDE that I'm thinking in my head, but where they talked about doing a bypass. And I think it was to support this housing where we just had East Baranda mainly, and then how are we going to get everything to connect? So I'm wondering, when you're looking at those other areas of the city that will be, as these homes do get built and are put in place, are we coordinating and on track on all the other infrastructure development that needs to happen to support it? Do you know, or do you guys just focus on, like, we know our numbers and we got to stick to that? Or, how do we make sure that we're not putting a bunch of housing and now we've got another challenge and we didn't
Sure.
think to address it sooner?
So I think what you're referring to is the east side bypass.
Yes.
We have a west side bypass as well, which hasn't been constructed except for just a portion of it. In this case, this is a really good conversation for Saturday, the general plan update. Currently, that east bypass is shown on the general plan map, and I'm not sure where it's headed, but it's a good discussion for Saturday and beyond.
Well, I know in the joint session that we did have, study session, it's kind of why I brought up that question about, like, okay, when we're plugged in, that subject did come up, and then, so we're then pushing forward, and it's kind of like, they're waiting. Well, if no housing's being built, why are we going to spend any money there? But there was a comment made that, why isn't it really a focus? Well, there's not enough money. So I think that's where, like, economic development kind of comes in there, and then we've got to, because we do need to cover the costs. And then, but making sure that, okay, we're starting to move forward, and we're promising these developers, we're showing a map and showing them that this is what they're expecting. And then we don't follow through and we're not performing other areas. I just feel like that's a big concern to me. Yeah, so there's just not really any coordination?
Well, it's in the general plan right now. The general plan map is a land use map that shows where the land use would occur, whether it's residential or commercial or public, semi-public, for instance. It also shows the road network. It shows roads that are existing, it shows roads that are proposed. Proposed roads are shown as a dotted line. Existing roads are more heavy, solid lines. There's a legend on the map. And the bypass has been around since before me. It's gone back way back in previous years. I mean, you can look back in the 1960s general plans, and there was a very intricate freeway system that went all around the city and through the city. That didn't happen, obviously. This current general plan update that we're looking at is probably a really good time to start talking about these planned roads again. And don't forget, there's also roads that go through Carr Lake. And we, not too long ago, a couple of years back, I think, we aligned one of those roads to make room for a park that recently opened up. So roadway improvements and land use go hand in hand.
Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions. We'll now open up for public comment on this item. Are there any comments from the public regarding this item?
The future growth, that was supposed to be done 30 years ago. I was stopped by Land Watch. So all the builders were ready to go, and then we're stopped. Okay, and then nobody picked up the ball for 30 years, and now it's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen within 5 years. It's preposterous. You know, what affordable housing is, it's when you can buy it. I got a tenant that she's paying 0%, 19 a month. You know where the difference comes from? Our wallets. Why am I paying for somebody who's not working? So I hope you new commissioners see that there's been a lot of slow it down, and my mission now is to find out who's the puppet master, because there's a lot of different reasons why it has been slowed down. And hopefully if you guys care for the little people, you'll push construction. Back in the 80s, I was wiring 100-unit plus complexes. We had to lower the rent on my folks' apartments, because why would you move in an old apartment when you can move into a new one for about the same price? That's supply and demand. The supply was cut off. And I kind of feel like it's your guys' responsibility to find out who did it and why. I'd love to doge Salinas. You know, I understand we're $100 million in the red. I've been told, I haven't seen the books. There's a lot of theys out there, big people know a whole lot more than me. And I keep meeting more and more, and they keep feeding me things. So I got to be careful because it's all hearsay. But there's a lot of, can I say BS, that's gone on in Salinas and has caused rent control. That's a real reason why I'm pissed off, the rent control. We never should have had it. Those houses should have been built, and you got more than 2 families. House across from me, they got 3 families in a house and people living in the garage because of bad, delayed planning.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello. I just have to say, I am so impressed with every single one of you. Like, why don't all of you run for council? Because you've asked great questions and great insight here. Because when I first was looking at those numbers, I'm like, okay, all the permits are for above moderate income housing. And then you look at the progress of it, and the key to low-income housing creation is through above moderate income housing. Build a housing of all types that people want, and that's what's going to fund and fuel the low-income housing. And I see all these plans and thoughts, let's make it smaller, let's make it smaller. But we live amongst a community and a culture of multi-generational living. So, you know, maybe we need to be more efficient and we build upwards. And there's great designs of communal type of living where you have yard areas for people with animals and things, but you know, you still might want to have a 2,500 square foot space, 3,000 foot space, because grandparents are there, and guess what? Grandparents are watching grandkids. And we got your kids, grandparents, because that's the culture in the community and the people that we're parking on lawns everywhere because families are living together in multi-generational ways. And I think that we need to look at much more than just reducing the amount of space that we can squeeze our fat asses in, right? But look at how do we want to live? We need water. We need power grid. Industrial wastewater management's a complete disaster here. So there's so many things, like it's been said, that go into us having more housing. And I just want to say again, thank you to each and every one of you. You've been fabulous, and what a delight. I'm so happy and proud that we have good people like you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any on Zoom?
No comments on Zoom.
All right, are there any additional comments or questions from the commissioners to Mr. Montgomery or members of city staff? Commissioner Rocamora?
No questions or comments.
Commissioner Ruck?
I do have a comment, and it's not on the report, if I may indulge me. Thank you. We are doing the general plan and zoning update. We have got to stop short-term rentals. They're inundating my neighborhood. ADUs are being built, which is great. Guess what? They're short-term rentals. There is a condition of approval that says you're not supposed to have short-term rentals in an ADU. Fine. But there are no ordinances that say we can't have short-term rentals in Salinas. So let's get them back in motels and hotels and turn our homes into homes for the individuals and the families that need them. The other thing that I would like to say is about 5 or 6 years ago, there was a very difficult farm labor housing shortage. We've built much now since that time. But at that time, and still on the books today, is an ordinance that allows farm workers to take over single-family dwellings as long as there's a permit. That needs to go. We need to put the farm workers, and I know everybody needs housing, I'm sorry if this sounds rude and crude, but the farm workers should be in the farm worker housing that we've built over in Baranda and Spreckles and many other areas. And those single-family homes need to be for the families that need the single-family homes. Those are the things that we need to change as we move forward with the general plan and the zoning update that goes with the general plan. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Commissioner Mora?
No, about this particular item? Or overall?
Yes.
No, about this particular item, no. Thank you.
Any questions or comments, Commissioner Gutierrez?
Questions or comments?
Commissioner Meeks?
One comment. There's quite a few ADUs out there where I live, and they're going for about $2,000 to $2,400 a month rental. Is that affordable?
Commissioner Purnell?
I just wanted to extend my gratitude to Mr. Montgomery and his team. Housing in Salinas is kind of like a sacred topic, and so we appreciate you standing up there and taking it from us. But it's important to all of us, and I think because it's home, that's why we value it so much, and that's why we give our time. So I appreciate all the time and effort you guys put into the report.
Yes, I'd like to echo the thank you for all the effort and also being brave to come in front of us and next to council, assumingly. But yeah, I just wanted to make a comment about that a lot of times it is perception put on the city about getting these projects going, and because I've asked so many questions each time, you know, of Courtney and his staff, you know, of what is happening in the background. It isn't always the city. Sometimes it is just the developers dragging their feet or just changing their minds, or now they ran out of funding, you know, so it's not always, we could have the perfect scenario, but the best we can be at helping them move forward or looking for ways to fast track things. I mean, I think the staff in the last meeting that we had too, there's things that they're doing in different departments trying to accelerate these things. So we appreciate all the work that you're doing. All right, so would any commissioners like to make a motion?
I would like to move to approve the 2025 Housing Element Annual Progress Report, ID 26-070.
I second the motion.
All right, with a motion from Commissioner Purnell and a second from Commissioner Meeks, we'll have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Rocamora,
Yes.
Commissioner Rock,
Yes, please.
Commissioner Mora,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Meeks,
Aye.
Commissioner Purnell,
Yes.
Chairperson McKelvey-Day.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, regarding the 2025 Housing Element Annual Progress Report, approve a resolution recommending that City Council accept the 2025 Housing Element Annual Progress Report and authorize its supplemental to the State of California Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD, and the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation, LCI. The Planning Commission's action on this item is a recommendation to the City Council in support of the 2025 Housing Element Annual Progress Report. Staff will schedule the matter for the City Council's consideration, at which time a final decision will be made. All right, and then we have administrative reports,
None.
public hearings,
None.
future agenda items.
I think I have a couple of those. While there are no actual applications coming forward, we are still working on filling in the void, so to speak, with study sessions and informational matters. We're looking at possibly, and this is not inked in yet, so don't go crazy if I got it wrong. But I think we're looking at the development impact fees coming up on March 18, and perhaps a overview of the permit center report that went to the council recently. I think it was like last week. So that is mostly the lineup for March 18.
And then we have an item, minutes. We're going to talk about that.
Yes, just an update on the minutes. Not too long ago, city staff went to a new format on minutes called action minutes. It wasn't necessarily well received by the Planning Commission, and we went back to our mostly more detailed, style of Planning Commission minutes. However, now apparently there is a law in place. It looks like it goes into effect, we're thinking July. The City Council has already moved and shifted to action minutes, and we understand that all the boards and commissions are being asked to do the same. So essentially what we're looking at is this may be the last round of detailed minutes as we shift over to action minutes.
Okay, and I see you have noted here Senate Bill 707.
I think that's the...
That looks handwritten in, so just putting it on record.
Yeah, thank you.
General plan open house reminder. Staff will remind commissioners to attend the general plan open house. I think I read that instruction.
Yeah.
Would you like to invite us?
9 to 12, Saturday at Steinbeck.
All right, the next scheduled regular planning commission meeting is scheduled for March 18th, 2026. Who will be able to attend? Looks like we have quorum. Well, hopefully you are there. No more missing meetings, sir. All right, with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.